Eureka! You found us! Welcome to the Check Out California radio show, your key to California hospitality. Hosted by Rad Gantos, principal of Rad Gantos and Associates, a hospitality and commercial real estate design firm, and Craig Sullivan, executive vice president of Park West GC, a hospitality and commercial real estate general contractor. Check Out California is focused on our state's hospitality, travel, and tourism markets, and on the large part they play in California's vibrant and innovative economic diversity and unique quality of life. Now, here are your hosts, Rad Gantos and Craig Sullivan.
Good afternoon. I'm Craig Sullivan.
And I'm Rod Gantos.
And welcome to Check Out California. We've got a very special show today. We've got Mr. Ryan Huntsman from Chicago Title in the house.
Yes.
Ryan and his family and I go back many, many moons.
I don't get sound effects on my show.
Well, you know.
He said it was special.
You brought him lunch.
So Ryan is vice president, Chicago Title, and he's in the commercial and hospitality spaces nationwide. And Ryan has also got a golf charity event that just happened last week, and we were both at Meet the Money. So we want to talk about that a little bit, and also title insurance, escrow. For all of you deal junkies out there that don't know how important title and escrow is, this is the man to talk to. So, Ryan, welcome.
Thank you, Craig, and what a fun topic. Insurance.
yes. Everybody.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, before we go into that, I'd like to thank Jim Butler, Guy Maisnick, David Sudak, and Bob Braun, and the rest of the team at JMBM for last week's Meet the Money conference. It was the 28th annual one. It is one of the premier hotel investment, debt, and equity conferences in the nation. And Jim, you and your team raised the bar again. Congratulations. It was a great show. They changed the format up a little bit. Really enjoyed the new format and no breakout sessions. Something that I'm really a fan of. I'd rather have everybody in one room all day. Mm-hmm. So they switched their format to what's referred to in the industry as meet and eat. So the meeting is all in one room, eating's in another room, and then you go back. So it was really good. The topics were timely, of course. When you've got Mark Woodward and various other people from PKF, which is now CBRE Hotels, and also Smith Travel Research. We had a lot of the brands there and lenders, investors, and it was just really a great conference.
What were some of your takeaways?
My takeaways were this, and Ryan, I want to hear your opinion on this as well. My feeling is 2019 is going to be a good year. 2020, we may see some contraction and probably a tightening up on the debt side, especially with construction loans. We're already starting to see, I think, a little bit of that. I think typically now, and depending on the strength of the sponsor, you're probably seeing a max of about 60% loan to cost right now. Mm-hmm. So there's a gap there. Now you've got to, fund that with either, more equity, or you're going to have to get a mezz piece in there. And mezz money is expensive. So, it's kind of interesting. Now,
what do you think is driving that?
We've got a true supply of new select service for the first time in the past 25 plus years I've been in the industry. It was full service or resorts, always led the way in construction, and it wasn't really select service. Mm-hmm. But with labor costs going up some 40% now and a few other things, you really have to understand the economic model for your hotel, and it may not make sense to do a full service hotel. You may want to do an upscale select service hotel, and you've certainly got less employees, and it's a different operating model. Mm-hmm. and also there's a possibility that that hotel enhanced mixed use development is starting to make sense again. Whether it's residential
Especially
condos or office.
in adaptive reuse and repurposing. Yeah.
And we got a office building closed down by LAX that's going to be converted into a Residence Inn. So, and then Sunstone, I believe, did the other one that's up the street, and it's a courtyard that really turned out amazing. Unbelievable job in the adaptive reuse, and Marriott was using that as a showpiece. You can do this too.
What
with an office
was the
building.
building before doing
It's an office building. So, I think at one point in time, maybe the 60s, 70s, it made some sense to office at LAX, especially.
Well, just company staffing is just completely different model. I mean, you got all these spaces, all these boxes that house so many human beings, and now operationally everything is a lot more automated. You need less people basically doing those things, so you don't need the bodies in that space, and so all these big boxes that were built for that purpose, floor after floor after floor of staff basically are sitting there, and they are existing buildings in desirable locations being repurposed or repositioned. Downtown LA.
We're sitting in one right now.
Yeah, we're sitting in one right now. That's actually undergoing this as we're speaking.
And to comment, think about that whole conference was at a airport hotel. There was a day when you would not have wanted to stay in an airport hotel.
Absolutely.
You would not have wanted to eat there. You wouldn't have, you would have parked your car there if they had a good rate and taken the shuttle. That's the extent of their conveniences. Well, I had a different experience at this. It was a Hyatt Regency, right? And I found the food to be great. My room was, you hear LAX, you're almost on the tarmac, but that's the function that they're there to serve. But we also did have a great conference there, and
we had an outdoor mixer, where years past when it was up the street at the Sheraton, it was actually noisier there than it was at the Hyatt Regency. And I got to tell you, Steve Vann and Prism Hotels. They managed that asset, and they closed it down and renovated it and put at least $75 million into that place, and it shows. It's beautiful. The staff is, engaged with all the guests, and I'm not saying that because it was a hotel conference, because I've been at other hotels where the staff just kind of, I don't care. But this staff was great. They were, from check-in to check-out, the valet, everything was perfect. Food was outstanding.
What's fascinating, guys, is that I was having a conversation this morning relevant to newer properties that were rolled out in destination or pseudo-destination locations, boutique even in nature, and where they were either rolled out too soon, or the staff component and the service component was missing. Or operationally, the things that are basically put in that shouldn't even be showing a scratch are now delaminating, And it's fascinating because you bring that conversation at, we start off saying, contractors are busy, right? And people are slammed, and, things are getting rolled out really quick. And it's funny because if that product that's being rolled out right now is not of the quality and sustainability, and then you basically mentioned, Greg, 2020 slowdown. Those properties are going to be basically hit hard, especially if they open in advance, don't have everything dialed in, don't have their staff and service in place, because this day and age, 2 months, 3 months of being hammered on Yelp, the only way you're going to sustain is your price is going to go down, you're going to start depleting on your service offerings in order to just maintain yourself, because you also went in at a high cost, right? You're opening it up at a top market, high cost of construction.
You really know when somebody's not in the industry, because they'd call this a hotel show.
Paul's going to come across. He's ducking under the camera. He's calling. Watch out.
There's a phone in the room, and it's ringing, and we don't know where it is.
What kind of party is this?
We may have some we may have some guests.
Hello, this is the Check Out California party line. How can I be of service?
Hey, to get back to your point, you can tell when somebody's in the industry. There's a reason you don't call this the key to California hotels. This is hospitality. It's
a word that sometimes is missed often in this industry.
And that's why Craig was a big part of getting me in the insurance side of it, is because, real estate is only so much fun. But then you throw in the business aspect of it. You throw in the hospitality aspect of it. You meet these owners that care about their P&Ls, but they truly care about their customers' experience.
Yeah. They do.
If they're smart.
If they're smart.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got a lot of smart operators.
No. I mean,
we do a great job. And that's why it's
I'm
in
just,
our
I'm
DNA.
just, I'm just bringing it up because it's an interesting kind of point in time where we have ramped up. We've been, you know, very strong on quality control because we came from a time when there wasn't much going on, and then a lot of stuff was going on, and now we're, you know, at capacity and everybody's stretched, and you can't, you know, now you're starting to hear, you know, the differentiators between good companies and bad companies providing service, because those who are overwhelmed and don't have the systems in place, it shows throughout. The cracks start to show, and then you're looking at an economic situation where maybe things change in the market, and you start looking at these properties that are being rolled out with a slightly different filter.
Yeah.
Well, that, you know, we're also, you know, changing the inventory dramatically as well. You look at it.
Oh, you're putting a lot of inventory
soft brands, you know, that both Marriott and Hilton have, and they're finding a lot of success. Wyndham's doing the same thing. Now, the other takeaway I got from the lodging conference was really with all these consolidations, and you look at Wyndham buying La Quinta, okay. And
which you had numbers on that.
That was just for the resort out in the
La Quinta resort. How much did it sell for?
That was almost $150 million.
And when was that?
That just happened in the past couple of weeks.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was $149 million plus. So for one hotel.
How many rooms do we know is that?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
So, but you know. You look at the consolidation. It started with Marriott and Starwood, okay? So we've got that, and we've got this going on, and there's going to be some opportunities there for both the design, the architectural, and the GC side, which is going to bring us back to title insurance with the PIPs, the property improvement plans, and also the, you know, new brand standards if they're repositioning the hotel and they're moving it, you know, to a Wyndham or to a Best Western or something else. So how's title and escrow treating construction loans these days, Ryan?
Yeah, is it different?
Is it lots of priority? Still a big headache for everybody?
Well, I'm glad you're asking me and not one of my clients from the last week.
Wait, I think they're coming in a few minutes.
Gosh, you know what? I think.
And really, title's more important than escrow, isn't it?
I'm kidding.
Won't. I'm kidding all of our escrow friends out there. That was a joke.
I could never say that publicly.
Did you just do that with a straight face?
So, you know what, though? The client's comment to me was exactly what you had said, is, wow, how have things changed? You know, I just got a loan to buy this dirt, and it was quick and painless. And now I'm getting a construction loan. Why is this one word before the word loan changed my whole life? And we asked for things that he was not expecting. You know, and it's hard. You hate to be the one who points the fingers both ways, saying he was making me do this. But truly, there are different onuses put on the insurance companies by our lenders.
Oh, the endorsements alone.
You got it. See, I don't have to explain to you, but to anybody else who's unfamiliar with it, we issue these endorsements that are attached to your policies. And when you have a construction loan, these endorsements are issued concurrently throughout the policy. So as you are getting a draw and you're releasing money to your contractor, we are updating your policy. And for us to update your policy and issue that new endorsement that your lender is requiring, we need to make sure that your lender is still in first position should anything happen. And that's why when we use the word loss of priority, that's exactly what everybody's very concerned about. Imagine a subcontractor, a painter, who's put a lien on a property coming in before your construction lender. Heaven forbid this thing goes to foreclosure.
Right. Well, you know, and that's always part of it. And when we were talking off the air, you know, at Park West GC, and I'm sure Rad, at, you know, in your company do the same thing. You know, when you're dealing with a fund control, you know, the lender is requiring releases from all the subcontractors.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know, and they have to have those at least concurrently with the release of the wire back to the GC to pay everybody. So, you know, it has changed dramatically, and it changes every time we go into a downturn. But this last one was so severe, and you know, and I used to say prior to this one that, you know, the 70s was the worst one I ever saw. I mean, we had unions showing up at our office when I was in title insurance at Universal Studios, going, "Hey, here's the lien. You know, we haven't been paid. Everybody's walked off the job. You know, it's going back to the bank. We want our money." And, you know, going, "Well, wait a minute, what happened?" You know, and that's also one of the first, you know, cases of claims for a title insurance company is when everything goes south is the construction loans, whether it's a new subdivision, a new, you know, apartment building, a new hotel, you know, an airport. I mean, you look at, you know, there's various expansion plans for various general aviation airports throughout the Southland in the last cycle, and all of them went away. Some work was done, but they all are sitting there unfinished. You know, now the cities are looking at, you know, firing some of that stuff up again, but, you know, they're going to want bonds and everything else this time. And
it is fascinating, right? It is fascinating that even though we have basically come out of the doldrums and actually have such activity volume, but the lessons and the pain that was felt is still there, and it's still filtering through the qualification process.
That's right.
Which is not a bad thing. It's actually not a bad thing, but it is interesting how that sometimes may have an adverse effect on actually business development, and
it's putting more on the borrowers.
Yeah.
You know,
the sponsors have to be stronger.
We're just taking it a next step. Just in every
industry.
You
could almost say that we kind of maybe learned this time.
Finally. Maybe.
You know, we have short memories.
Fascinating, right? Because
as we get farther away from that financial meltdown,
who knows what lessons we're learning right now?
This is probably the longest that I have seen something take as a lesson.
Right.
Like in this.
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing
You're just jaded. You're just jaded.
No, I'm not jaded. It's just, you know, part of the issue is some of the deregulation that's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with
it's the fear. Yeah, of that deregulation.
You know, this too big to fail is ridiculous. And, you know, if we've got to bail out the banks again, okay, Wall Street. I mean, CMBS loans play a huge part in the commercial real estate world. You know, but they had some issues. So, you know, they're coming back. You know, they're tightening up. They have to have skin in the game now. It started January of this year. So you're not seeing them as active as they have been in years past. And if they're, you know, if they've got a pool out there, how many hotels are truly going to be in it? 15, maybe 20, maybe. Okay. Then they've got multifamily, everybody's favorite child. Then you're going to have some Class A office buildings. You're going to have some, you know, creative workspace.
Well, we're also creatures of habit, right? I mean, it's really funny because I the minute I start seeing everybody gravitating towards the same pool, I start getting concerned.
Yeah.
You know what though? We all have to keep
that Jaws theme.
Yeah. You know what? If we all keep doing what's right, and we all keep ourselves to the proper level of accountability. Here we're having this conversation about construction loans, okay? Yeah. If we were to make a concession for a client because they're a good client and say, okay, you're working with your nephew's new general contracting company. No problem.
Yeah. But there's certain things that you need to.
Well, if they were able to go to First American or one of my competitors, and they were able to get that work done and that concession made at my competitor, well, now I would have to figure out how I'm going to accommodate this.
Right. You have to have.
So the point is that I do have to say, as much as I love to slander my competitors at any opportunity, we are all.
It's okay. This is an internet radio station. We can say stuff like that.
Yeah.
They can only hear it. They can't see me.
Yeah, they can.
Oh no, they just heard you and saw you. Yeah.
But you know what?
Smile.
We're all keeping to what's right regulatory wise and what's right for our business, and we're taking that extra step again. We're checking with the general contractors. We want to make sure that when we approve the release of a construction draw, your contractor, when he gets that money, we need to make sure that he's paying your subcontractors,
yeah, absolutely,
and not another project that he is going on.
Yeah.
And it's really to protect our borrowers, but it's hard to. It's like your child when you're telling a 5-year-old you can't have chocolate at 10 p.m. because.
Right.
Well, Ryan, it also has real real life consequences. I mean, it actually has a cost associated with it. If you're not the kind of organization that is accustomed to actually tracking, one, to reporting, two, right, to having the staff to do that on a regular basis to the satisfaction of everybody involved, that is now a burden that you have to basically do. And it could be disqualifying you from actually being approved for a particular project.
Liability.
Right.
Yeah, it can be a huge liability.
And so, and I don't necessarily think that that is a bad thing. I think where it's, to Greg's point, is when we start basically reacting to all those regulations being just such an arduous thing that's stopping in the face of business development and opportunities, and we start to deregulate, is when we start basically getting in trouble.
Right.
Well, we absolutely.
That's where we got in trouble every single time.
Yeah, yeah, it always has, and a lot of it's our own doing. Some of it, sometimes it's a force of nature, out of Wall Street.
I mean, because the state of California is not overregulated, right?
I actually, you know what? I don't think that we are. I really don't think that we are.
And certainly not overtaxed.
So, right, and we're not overtaxed.
Well, I think we are overtaxed to the degree we don't know where the hell the money goes. But, I mean, I keep thinking about all the money that's going into my fuel tank that's supposed to go to road maintenance and highways, and I'm still seeing potholes everywhere, and I'm not seeing that fixed.
Well, and I will say this, because a friend of mine said this to me, that actually moved out of state.
And we're also the 5th largest global economy.
Right.
Now, wait a minute.
But
the overregulation hasn't hurt us.
But I'll tell you, it depends where you are in your life journey. Because if you are in the business development, money-making part of your life, you look at the state of California as being something that is basically arduous to deal with. Right? If you are in the retirement and the golden years of your life, you want every single thing the state is going to provide you, and it doesn't matter whether you made money before or not. Especially if you made money before, you're looking for that payback.
Big time.
Right? So it really is a matter of perspective. And you can look at education. You look at the promise of education in the state of California. Look at how they have basically, you can talk about Jerry Brown all day long, but they've held money away that is needed in those education systems when you're basically priding yourselves on a higher level of education.
Correct, yeah.
So there are places, to Greg's point, where if you take a snapshot of it, you can make a case for it that it's overregulated. But when you start looking at it from different people's perspectives, as a community in California and certain parts of the county, Orange County being one of them, where you have an aging population, it takes on a totally different take.
Yeah,
right?
It does.
Yeah.
Agreed.
My concerns now at my
what are
age
your concerns now?
Very different from what they were in my 30s and 40s.
As you live on Balboa.
Hey.
I didn't say where. Oh wait, never mind. You're a mayor down there. They all know where you live.
No, I'm the Baron.
We've made the shift, though. We've made the shift from the guys having the parties in the backyards to the guys standing out in our undies, waving our fingers.
Wait, hold on. He thinks you made the shift?
Well, we tell people.
Yeah.
It's just more dignified.
We do wag our fingers.
Yeah.
We do.
He just did it on the air, right?
Then I offer him a beer.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of an interesting thing. The environment definitely of conducting business is changing.
Positively.
Yeah.
But it's still happening. I brought some information here that I was sharing that over the last, we had about 106 transactions just last month that were hospitality related across the country.
Yeah.
However, 18 of those are in California. That's almost...
Congratulations to
that's
Alan
over 10, that's over
10% at Atlas Hospitality. They sold
17 out of the 160.
Inn,
wow.
Which is a smaller hotel for $3.65 million. So we've got that. We've got the La Quinta at 149.
Atlas is on fire, man. I can't keep up with Alan's postings. He's constantly posting stuff.
They close more deals.
Shameless self-promotion, Alan, but kudos to you and your company. Seriously.
Well, look at this. The Napa Inn traded last month, and that's only 15 keys, and that traded for 3.77.
Oh, it's just a small place up in Napa.
Just a little
value.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too, I think a lot of people, and the reason kind of for the show is, we are such a different economy.
Positively.
Both on the buying and the selling side of it, and every micro economy in the state of California is different by its own nature. You deal with people that don't have a sense and sensitivity to a Napa property, or some Central Coast property, or San Diego property, and even in San Diego, is it inland? Is it on the coast? Is it down in Coronado? I mean, it is so micro.
Right. So many people think of California as cities, landlocked, big towers, buildings, Los Angeles, San Francisco. But if you make the drive from L.A. to San Francisco, you realize that we're mainly rural. We're mainly farmland.
It's always been that way. Agriculture is the #1 industry in this state.
Ryan,
we used to be the bread basket for the entire world.
If you even drive from Long Beach to Sherman Oaks,
right?
Which would you say with traffic 2 hours? I mean, without traffic 15 minutes. I'm just kidding, right? But the point is, from Long Beach to Sherman Oaks, we could sit here, we could spend the next 20 minutes listing microeconomy after microeconomy after microeconomy. The west side, south of the 90.
Huntington Beach,
right?
Westminster, Little Saigon, we could spend.
North Santa Monica, Ocean Boulevard, Venice.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of those economies, Sherman Oaks, the Valley.
It's unique.
Every one of them is unique. On Wilshire Boulevard alone, from the coast to Century City, basically and Beverly Hills. Look at how many friggin' microeconomies there are that you need to be very aware of if you're going to invest in something like this and have a sustainable model.
Got that right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you need the right people alongside with you advising you.
Big time.
Because there's a lot of people out there that don't really know what the heck they're doing, and they're selling advice that is not worth the money.
That's right.
Well, that's where you're qualified, advisors on hospitality are so vital. I mean, if you're you remember when you were first starting to get into the hospitality side, you're walking around with your eyes wide open and going, oh my God, look at all these moving parts.
Right.
I got to look at the brand, I got to look at the franchise agreement, the FBI background, I need to look at, UCC filings.
It changes on you.
I thought I was going after a real estate transaction. I thought I was going for a hotel deal. I didn't realize that I was dealing with real estate and a business.
It is. It's an operating business. It is a cash business. You've got 24 hours to sell that room. It's like a head of lettuce. It's got, it's got an expiration date on it.
Time sensitive too. Yeah. Because if you're in a position where you're repositioning a property that is currently in operation mode.
That's right. Discretion and time.
Right. And we talked about this before, even when it comes down to just like construction. If you got a team on there that is used to new construction, but you are dealing with an adaptive reuse situation, you got the wrong team on that project.
Big time.
Yeah.
Craig can probably speak to, somebody who specializes in TI versus somebody who specializes in ground up. I mean,
it's a totally different animal.
Yeah, that's taking your Honda to a Ferrari dealer.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. And there's some really great companies out there that do ground up. There's some really great companies that can do both.
Right.
And there's some really great companies, like Park West, that are outstanding on renovating an open operating hotel. We're concerned about
Chris and Frank.
What can I say?
Shout out, but
no, Chris and Ed.
Chris, Ed, and Ed. Well, Ed is he still celebrating his birthday?
He's been called worse.
No. I think he's done with that.
Okay.
So,
when you sent me those pictures, I thought it was Ed that was in the Elvis suit.
No, it was not Ed the Elvis suit. No. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Ed. Where was my invitation, by the way? You guys all partying it up there with Elvis, taking care of business. Where was I? Okay. But no, it really is something that you don't want to learn the hard way on your own dime, right? Those things that we're sharing right now. Yeah, exactly. Or the title company's expense. Right?
Well, because we've learned the hard way. We've been left with the bag. We've taken claims. Contractors have seen projects go upside down.
Sponsors take off.
We've
all types of things.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Ryan. So what on your side of the equation have you guys done differently because of this awareness?
Well, we've just had to. We've had, as an industry, we've all had to, like I said, get on board together.
Yeah.
We cannot have one of us approving something or one of us
not approving.
No, it's the weakest link, right? Yeah.
It really is. So
that's one of the few times everybody's banded together.
Yeah, truly. I'm really happy to say that all my competitors are keeping that way. But we are keeping to the new ground rules that have been set by our lenders and by the Department of Insurance, where we just cannot approve a construction loan to close on a gap anymore based on an indemnity. We can't just take your word for it on your GCs.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up and have a commercial, and then we'll be right back with Ryan Huntsman from Chicago Title.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything. Your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
When you use the Premier Rewards Gold Card from American Express, the rewards points can keep on multiplying. Buy 3 with triple points on airfare. Buy 2 with double points on gas and groceries. And a single point for pretty much every other dollar you spend on the card. Then, start choosing from over 1 million rewards to redeem all those points. Apply today and the annual fee for the first year is on us. Call 1-800-AXP-GOLD or visit axpgold.com. The annual fee for the card is $175. See terms, conditions, and restrictions at axpgold.com.
Welcome back. This is Checkout California. I am Craig Sullivan.
And I'm Rod Gantos.
And our guest is Ryan Huntsman.
Hello.
He's still here, everybody. He didn't run out during the commercial break, so thank you for staying.
No applause after the break, Paul?
Oh, yeah. He's a little late. It's meaningless now, Paul, so don't do it.
He had his lunch. Now he's like kind of lethargic.
One guy's saying go out and eat your lunch. The next guy's saying play applause. I can't do both.
Hey, come on. This is live radio. Get with it.
You know, speaking of acquisitions, and we've had consolidations going on all year before in hospitality. It's still going on. We recently had a little M&A work involving your company.
We did.
You bought Stewart Title.
I did not personally. Fidelity.
Oh, okay. I thought you did personally.
I wish. It was a good month last month. However, Hey,
Lance, you're really paying well now.
I'll tell you want to work for Lance Capel. That's C-A-P-E-L. But what's neat is I have a different perspective, I think, on the M&A process of title and escrow because Lance and myself, we came from Lawyers Title, which was acquired by Fidelity.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And after getting a chance to see what's in the sausage at Land America versus what's at Fidelity, which is my parent company, I'm happy to be aboard this plane.
I'll bet.
Should we ask him to expand on that?
No. Landam was not a
Land America went bankrupt,
yeah,
and the Cliff
first
Notes
time in history for a
Cliff
U.S.
Notes
title
version.
insurance
What
company.
they did is they took all of the exchange money that was waiting there and float. And they put it in some more risky investments rather than the regulated FDIC insured accounts.
That's the only expansion I wanted. Thank you for providing that.
Again, some regulations are there for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So thus brought an end to Land America and everybody's retirement accounts and a lot of great employees' jobs.
Yeah.
Flash forward, we are now owned by Fidelity, which is an incredible company.
Yeah.
They are from vineyards to restaurants to a hockey team we're going to go watch win tonight. They really have.
Not me.
They have a way.
No, I'm looking at you like, did we miss the tickets?
Bill Foley.
We were not invited.
And mine may.
Ryan's going as a guest. So.
I'll watch my P's and Q's, so I still get on the plane.
You're always welcome.
It's okay.
Here,
Just
Ryan.
live feed it on your Facebook. We'll precariously live through you.
But you know what? They're
Ryan's taking me with him. I don't know whether you knew that.
Just
or
eat your
lunch.
lunch.
Ryan and I are going.
Eat your lunch.
We were going to ride a tandem bike and everything to the
Oh
airport.
God, too much. I don't. How am I going to unsee that now? In your cargo pants?
Yeah.
With balloons.
Oh, clowns. Clowns.
I get to be in the back.
Can
though.
we
I'm
get
just
back to
telling
the
you.
show, please, guys? This
We
is
digress.
really traumatic, actually.
Anyway, the point is that Mr. Foley has a eye for companies, and I wouldn't say I'd be in a wrong place if I said that Stewart Title was a bad company or a poorly run company because he wanted it, and he saw a tremendous amount of value in it. They have a great infrastructure.
Yeah.
I think that when we add such a great company to our model and our scales and our systems, we think we're really going to benefit all of their employees. Their employees are fortunate people. I think that they're going to come to a great family.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And,
very cool.
Stewart Title, say what you want about their LA operation, that's not the whole company, okay? You look at their international division. You look at their people in New York. You look at their people, in various other areas, not only in California but across the nation.
Texas, they have a very large footprint in Texas.
Yeah, and their guys, in Manhattan do a great job.
Yeah.
So it was truly a unique acquisition for you guys.
I think so.
And I think everybody on both sides of that fence, once the fence comes down, and it's one big happy family. And I think, part of the Stewart thing is that, the advantage being part of the Fidelity Group is, shared services, whether it's a plant, whether it's HR, any number of things. And those expenses that were, that they were having to cough up every month with all the other divisions, simply goes away.
Dual branded hotels.
Yeah.
Why do they do that? Because
economics
some people
of scale. Yeah.
Got it. Some people are good at some things. Some people are good at other things.
Right.
Put us all together, and we're a great team.
Right. Well, and it's interesting though, because it depends on the industry. Because there's some industries where, and we're seeing a lot of consolidations right across all kinds of industries. In some cases, it is not necessarily for the better.
Right.
You could extrapolate and look at it and go, you know what, this is going to come back to haunt us later. Right. And it's acquisitions of weaker stuff. I mean, there's a part of it in certain industries that's almost like a throwback to the 80s.
Yeah, and I think it's probably harder
but not
for
in all industries.
Maybe a company that's a public company or out there in the public eye. They've got to worry about misconceptions or forgetting about their brand or their identities. We're an insurance company. There's not much personality.
No, that's what I'm saying. In your industry, actually, it's a good thing what this is happening and the quality of the people that are coming together and consolidating sort of strength from different elements and putting them all into one offering. In some cases, this kind of drive to consolidate actually could come back and hurt us. This is one of those cases, especially if you maintain that sort of ethical awareness that is industry-wide. That's actually going to be very beneficial for people.
Believe it or not, they do things different in Texas. They do.
Dramatically different.
They do things different in Texas?
Well, when we say we do things different in LA versus Orange County,
no, it's very true.
You really need a specialist.
Yeah. And it is. They one of the biggest differences is, you've got a mortgage state and you've got a deed of trust state. Okay, mortgage, you have to do a judicial foreclosure. Deed of trust, you don't. It's non-judicial.
Right.
The trustee, does his job, and boom, the property's moved on to either back to the lender or to whoever bid on it at the auction. So, and then you've got other states where the attorneys control everything. They do a table closing. And
they don't have escrow.
Yeah, they don't have escrow.
I don't even know what that word is.
Yeah. So, and they're sometimes even the agent for the title company. So so it's
the format of conducting business is different. To the core sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Northern California and Southern California, two different animals when it comes to that.
It's funny, you have an old school business, but you have a new world and a new technological world.
Well, that's the world you're living in right now.
Yeah,
is exactly that. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's exciting.
Right.
Let's hear about your golf event, your charity. You've been doing this for 10, 13 years now?
16, but who's counting?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
And
you
what?
You were like 15 when you started that?
Yeah, God bless you. So, in fact...
Teddy?
See, I know how old he is.
Yeah, he does. You know what? We're some foster homes that are local here to Orange County called Boys Hope, Girls Hope, and it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. We all talk about hospitality. We like that because we feel tangible reactions to our hospitality.
Right.
You greet somebody with a warm smile and into your nice room, and they're happy.
Yeah.
Well, same thing here. I feel and I can see the tangibility of my efforts and the funds that we raise, and I see where it goes to the children and to the homes. So it's such an amazing time to get to see what happened last Wednesday when we raised $327,000.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
One day.
Congratulations.
Kudos. That's amazing.
Yeah,
it is. So that's a great cause that prompted a lot of great people, but that were all only in one room.
Well, and it's not the numbers. It's what those numbers mean in terms of positive impact on people's lives.
That's right. And for us, what's really neat, again, the tangibility. Sometimes I write a check to the Red Cross. They do amazing things with it. It gets cashed 3 months from now, and I don't know exactly what it did.
Yeah.
I know with this money We already have our houses paid off. We're going to pay off a last of our home equity line that we used to fix up a house. And now all the kids are going to prom and winter formal. All the kids are going to summer camp, and we're getting a new van. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we take for granted. You know, just getting to go to a dance. I can't imagine. Couldn't imagine
having
not
something you could wear
in my privileged Newport Beach youth. I didn't have my eyes opened until I saw this organization.
So is there a website, Ryan?
There is. It's bhgh.socal.
Okay.
And it's a national organization, Boys Hope, Girls Hope, based in Cincinnati. But we're their local Southern California chapter. Sure. And we have 2 houses that have approximately 6 to 7 boys and girls, and they all get put through Mater Dei or Rosary.
That's amazing.
Private high school.
That's awesome.
Then we get them into college, take them on their tours, get them through college, then place them into their final career.
How do the kids find out about this, or how do you basically end up with?
We've got a couple of schools around here that I'm sorry to say have about a 40% graduation ratio. And when they see a child that's in a situation that is unspeakable, yet they're still excelling, they recognize them as a child with a lot of potential, and they'll refer them to our program because they know that over the 12, 13 years with us, we're going to put a lot into them, but they put so much. You know, I say we put them into this school, we put them into this. It's actually the opposite. They give us the opportunity to guide them through it. And these kids, I mean, one of the kids gave a speech about the amount of community service hours he did. I couldn't even spout off the hours that he had done. But what these kids are doing and how they're turning it around and making opportunities. We've got a couple that are now playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, some that are flying F-18s in the Air Force. Really great stories.
You know what's crazy about that is we don't hear about it in a lot of these stories, and we need to. As much of the stuff that we do here, I mean, these are things that still give you hope.
Right.
Yeah, and a better future. That there's positive stories. That the people succeeding by virtue of their own efforts. I mean, and given a hand up basically versus in a handout. Yeah, I got a personal question for you, and this is something I ask usually people. I know from my own personal experience, but I really am curious. You brought it up, right? You talked about privileged Orange County, right? Okay, so I assume that the rewards and financial gains and success stories and stuff like that for you growing up and everything, you've had those milestones, you've had those sort of things to reflect on, right? What does it give you? What part of you does it feed or reward being involved in an organization like that? Because it's a loaded question, Ryan, because I kind of know what it means for me, but I'm really curious. Does it give you something different that you don't gain from all the other successes they have?
Of course. I don't want to, I'm not going to use the cliched, you get more than you give. We hear that a lot, and yes, it is true. But there's just something gratifying about giving an opportunity versus giving something. Giving somebody a fish versus teaching somebody to fish. Knowing that these kids are not only going to succeed on their own, they're going to have a family that's going to succeed. And now after 16 years, tracking these kids from elementary through high school through college. Correct. And now they're having kids. And, we get emotional now when we see them, and we think of some of them as our kids. Some of the stories are both parents are deceased and they were in the foster program. Right. Some are one parent was deceased, another was incarcerated for life, so they were going to go to a grandparent and have to leave their home, or lives in a home with 18 other of their siblings. So they're all different stories, but the common thread is this drive that I see from these kids, and I see some of them that are so much more intelligent than myself and other of my friends and counterparts that have succeeded. So I know that all they need is these opportunities that we were given.
Yeah, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of love, and here you go.
It's like when you're talking with somebody who's speaking a different language. You don't understand their language. That doesn't mean they're not saying something intelligent.
Very true.
You know,
Very true.
I heard something yesterday about languages, because we tend to have this sort of discussion, especially in the United States. I grew up overseas. It was never an issue to have multiple languages, but there's sort of this pushback about, you know, multiple languages from certain quarters in the United States, and it's got to be English and all this stuff. I thought this was very pertinent, that when you learn a language, it takes you down the corridor of life. When you learn multiple languages, it opens up doors to that corridor, and you feel at home in every single one of those rooms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting, because what I'm hearing from you, and I totally, I mean, volunteering, giving of yourself in that manner, and the rewards that come from it, it's something that everybody should experience. They should put themselves in that giving, volunteering position. It doesn't matter what the effort is, but to actually do that, because it rewards the parts of our soul that is directly linked to our DNA.
Got that.
And
right.
hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Ryan, how much have you raised over the past 16 years?
I would say personally, I've been associated with a couple of $1 million.
Very good.
That I'm proud of.
That's tremendous.
But I've seen several million, and I won't embarrass some of we have some amazing families that are local people that give and give year in, year out without asking, and in fact, the only thing that they ask of us is to remain anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the kind of people that you want to be like,
mm-hmm.
and that inspire you on a daily basis.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. Now, you've got 2 homes, and you've got 5 to 6 children in each home, or is it 1?
There's 2 homes. We're going to do. We're at 6 to 7 now, and we're considering starting to do some after-school programs.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out. Obviously, you always want to grow.
Right.
Yeah, every business and our organization is like a business. We want to continue to grow. We want to serve more children in our community. So we contemplated another new house, and we know our limitations,
mm-hmm.
and we decided that wouldn't help our kids that we currently have. So we decided to move towards trying to find some good after-school models, and now we're partnering with Building Blocks. Peter, who you introduced me to.
Peter Hoy.
Yes. I'm having lunch with him tomorrow out at his bank.
And he's invited you to his golf
Yes,
tournament.
he's having me to his golf tournament.
I know these things.
But he's also made it so that our organization, Boys Hope, Girls Hope, will be the benefactor of some of the funds that he raises
from First Choice Bank's golf tournament charity event.
Yeah,
that's and full disclosure, I'm one of the stockholders in that company. So
got it.
You know, Peter Hoy, you are a great man. I've known you for a lot of years, and thank you for helping Ryan and supporting him and his cause. So
indeed,
yeah, Peter's got one of the biggest hearts out there. He just, you know, a charitable component to First Choice Bank has always been at the top of his list for that organization. And you know, it's this bank is now traded on NASDAQ. And
what's the symbol?
The
know it?
I think it's FIBC.
Okay.
And Peter's on his way to New York, I think, next month for the stock exchange. They're gonna do the closing bell.
Cool.
He wants to do the closing bell, not the opening bell.
Very cool.
So Mark LeBlanc from Interstate and I are both stockholders in that bank, so we're always giving Peter a hard time. You know, the stock dropped 9 cents. What the hell's going on? So,
yeah.
Oh, it's back up. Okay, you're good.
You don't have. Yeah, go to Target and get all the employees the cheap coffee this month.
But yeah, whatever, you know. You can work with Peter not only on title insurance and escrow, obviously from Hospitality Unlimited Investments, but also First Choice Bank is just an outstanding bank. It really is. It's a great community bank. We've got 1 branch here in Orange County, and they've got 3, I think, up in LA at this point, and possibly another one coming. So.
You know, when you're a large organization, our organization is Well Fidelity. If you're a big company, you really do need to give back to your community that's been supporting you.
Exactly.
You know, and what in many cases, I know this is something that's been more and more the case in the last maybe about a decade, is there's been officers placed in companies that their primary job is to provide volunteer opportunities and give back opportunities to employees in those companies, because it's such an important thing, not only in terms of the positive PR that you get out of it, but also in terms of team building, morale, corporate culture, if you want to even use such a kind of a cliche term. But I think it is really critical, because we all know, anybody who's ever worked in a corporate environment knows, that part of your satisfaction at your job is a sense of personal growth.
Right.
And those are things that are basically provide that. And in every single one of those cases, those companies may not be able to actually provide the opportunities themselves. So they have to reach out to organizations like you're talking about and actually do that, either National Service Day or have a partner or champion a particular cause that may be either symbolic to their company or somehow
their family or something.
Right. And the beauty about hospitality is actually we touch every single aspect of people's lives. I mean, we talk about there's no one reason. It can be as simple as sleeping, or it could be meetings, or
their wedding.
Weddings. Every one of those memorable moments in people's lives is touched by hospitality. So as a hospitality-based company or someone that services the hospitality industry, there's a whole range and myriad of things that you can get involved in terms of give back.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, and that's one of the things that I really
it's a
love
priceless
about
reward, really it is.
But your employees feed off of it, again, to hospitality. If you
Smart business.
you see your owners are treating you in a certain way, you're going to treat the guests in a certain way.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you're getting involved with the community and you're celebrating the community and you're helping the community and not being a drain on the community.
That is such a key thing that you just said, because we used to refer to that as being old school hospitality, right? That by example factor.
That's right.
Right? And then as things got more corporate and more layered and more of that, and things got a little further away, unless you're somebody like a Four Seasons or somebody that culturally you pride yourself on maintaining that element, that spark, right? It's really interesting, because that is absolutely true. You walk into a property brand new and you look at it and you go, there's a problem with retention because there's a corporate culture problem that is completely void of what this property and this facility is supposed to represent.
I realized it as a young father. I realized that my son does not listen to what I say, but he does everything that I do.
By example.
My example is much more important than my words, and I've learned that. And it trickles. A fish rots from the head down.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Speaking of children, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're with second in the oven. So.
Luckily, not me. Luckily, Mandy's carrying her.
Hi, Mandy. How are you?
Hi, Mandy. She's probably
congratulations.
She's probably chasing down Luke. So
probably,
So, you didn't actually give us feedback on the Meet the Money.
I
was curious what your take on it was from your perspective.
I had a real similar experience that I had to click.
Yeah.
I'm a vendor. A very important thing you can do in life is to know your place, right? I know my place. I know that certain owners when to approach those certain owners to talk to them about their insurance needs. But what I need to do as a vendor is I need to be in the right rooms at the right time with the right people. Meet the Money, I leave one cocktail party with some very, very legitimate contacts. And they're not just people that are brokers or other vendors like myself that are doing one-off deals. They're people like Peter that I'm now meshed my charity with, my life with, my business with. So I'm not only meeting people of great quality, but I just came from Click where I had met all these great people. So now I see the same people that are kind of on the circuit, right? So people are becoming more familiar. And I'm a salesperson at the end of the day. That's how I'm going to put diapers on this new baby girl. I need to promote my business at the best places possible. And there's so many events now.
Yeah, there are a lot of events.
You could choke on how many events
there's 2 or 3 a day, so you have to be smart, and you have, especially if you're going to travel with the expense and the time that none of us have. So you've got to do Meet the Money, lodging conference, Click. There's really only, right, Craig? What are the last couple I'm forgetting?
You've got NYU and Hunter. So, you know, Alice.
Some classic staples, solid, and some newer ones.
Yeah, but if you try to do too much, you will be doing too much, and you can't follow up appropriately, and you know, some places just don't have the right people.
Here's the interesting and sort of funny thing, right? Somewhere along the way, when all these conferences, I mean, I understand they're all being put on there. Everybody's trying to claim their piece of the pie. Everybody's trying to pretend that they're better than the next one, right? And everybody's trying to do a little different twist. And they started basically giving up on doing a different twist, and they became almost like you couldn't tell which one you were in, right? Right. And the interesting thing is, along the way, I think it got forgotten that it was about relationships. And it wasn't about acquisitions.
Well,
It wasn't about curating a stack of cards. It was about the depth of relationships that you had with a handful of people that you had a meeting of the mind with.
Right.
And it wasn't just about what you did for a living or the reason professionally you were there at that conference. It was about philosophy of life and what you held as being your key guiding principles.
Yeah.
And those are the relationships that are sustainable.
That's exactly it. And, you know, I've known Ryan and his family, like I said, for 100 years. Not Ryan personally for 100 years because he's not that old.
I knew you were a sage, but really, 100 years?
Yeah.
Feel like.
You know,
Did you sit at the feet of the master and learn?
Ryan, and when he's at some of these events and we're together, because I see him doing the same things that I did after enduring my transition from commercial real estate to strictly hospitality. And you blur those lines. They become your friends. You have a social component with this. You have charity components with it. You get to know their families, and in some cases you go on vacations together and everything else. And Ryan's heard me say this more than on one occasion, that he is the next me when it comes to title insurance and escrow services for the hospitality community.
I can see that. I was going to say, I'm sorry, but I can see that.
I'll take it.
He does a great job. He really does. And everybody that I've introduced him to has enjoyed meeting Ryan, getting to know him, sending him deals. And there'll be more of that. And
speaking of, quick shout out for your friend Dixie Patel.
Yeah. You closed his deal?
We closed a couple for him and found out that he's got a great charity going. And just like Peter, our organizations are working together now as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great.
So again, Craig, you're kind of grandfather of all this. So.
He is. He's definitely a connector, but I think it's the genuineness and the heart and the authenticity that really makes people gravitate to Greg. I mean, I was at a networking meeting. Let me give you a little kudos today. I was at a networking meeting earlier today, and everybody was like, I'm like, hey, I'm standing here, I'm talking about, and everybody's like, hey, make sure you say hi to Craig. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second, let me get my pad out. Okay, your name. No, but I really enjoy that because again, it is the people you surround yourself with. It is. We spend so much time at this thing called work, life, whatever, right? And it's the quality of the relationships that you have that really matters. And in the hospitality industry, I will tell you, I've been involved since '94, a pup compared to you probably, right? And I will tell you, this is one industry that the circle gets smaller the longer you are in it. And tighter.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you are not on the inside of the circle, as you stay in it, it is brutal because it demands that authenticity. It demands for longevity in that circle.
That's right.
It demands that your reputation, your authenticity, your genuineness is critical in this industry.
Absolutely. I mean, the tack that I took when I made the transition was this: I'm working in a 24/7 business. My son's of legal age. I didn't have a wife or a girlfriend at the time, and I said, okay, I'll take on the same tack. You can call me 24/7.
Right.
Guy Maznick from JMBM, one of the best hotel attorneys around. I couldn't even tell you how many conference calls that he and I and my title officer had on Saturdays, okay? And it's just what it took, He had to have a follow-up, and sometimes he'd bring his client into the call as well. So, hey, Paul's about ready to fall asleep over there. We got to wrap this up. Ryan, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm glad you could make it.
We'll have you back in soon. Have a good time at the game tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Today's program was brought to you by Rad Gantos and Associates and Park West General Contractors. I want to thank Chris Hostert and Ed LaCivita Nancy Nguyen and Frank Aguilar all over there, plus the rest of the team.
Happy belated birthday, Ed, too.
Yes, happy belated birthday, Ed. The Click website, the new one, was launched earlier this week. So please take a look at CLIconference.com.
This guy did a great job on the new website. You go check it out.
No, it wasn't me. Cool. It was one of our sponsors, and they are on the sponsorship page. That was Casey over at GLK Analytics.
Did you like that teeing up for you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
Thank you very much. So there'll be some announcements later this month in reference to location, and we're coming up with a lot of new things for next year's conference.
Very exciting.
Click 3 will be dramatically different.
Yeah.
We're cutting the panels back from 40 minutes to 30, so we're adding a 5th panel, and there's some surprises coming. So tentative date right now is March 7th. I've got a rendezvous later tonight with some people, and we're talking about locations, and we're going to kind of go from there. So it will be back in Orange County next year. I will give you that. Now, whether it's closer to the ocean or farther inland,
you'll just have to stay tuned.
You'll have to wait. So thank you all. Paul, thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Great
Thanks,
show.
everybody.